Hello students, how are you? My name is Said Juma Darwish. I'm a teacher of biology and I want to welcome you in another lesson. But our lesson today is about lymphatic system. Before saying anything, I want to explain a little. What do you understand by this term? Before trying, can you say please lymphatic system? Again, lymphatic system. Good, clap one. Thank you a lot. I need the one to explain. What do you understand by these words? Lymphatic system. Ali, can you try please? Stand up. Okay. Ali said, good. Lymphatic system is similar to the blood system. Good. Clap one for Ali. Good trying. Good. Thank you a lot. So, according to Ali, and majority, we confuse between these two concepts, lymphatic system and the blood system. These are two different systems operates within the body of living organism, especially human body. And this we call a system. Why we call a system? It's just because it's just a collection of organized things. So there are a lot of things. All of them are organized together and they work together so as to make a system. So this is a good example. We have a lot of things that make the lymphatic system in our body and move and distribute all over the parts of our body. Example, lymph nodes. There is a spleen, there is lymph node again, and there is lymph ducts. So all things, they organized together so as to bring about the lymphatic system. So we may say lymphatic system is a system consists of lymph and lymph vessels and lymph vessels as well, and what we call lymphoid organs. And what we call lymphoid organs. There are a lot of lymphoid organs, don't confuse. When we are talking about lymph nodes, that is example of lymph organs. As well, spleen. As well, there is the one that we call tonsils. There is tonsils. All of them are example of lymph organs, or lymphoid organs. So, the lymph, together with the lymph vessels, and together with the lymphoid organs. These three things organized together to make a system which we call lymphatic system. Good. Okay. In order to gain more knowledge and concepts, my dear students, we can open our textbook, please, on page 197, and in that page, you will start to read on the heading written by lymphatic system. We want to gain more knowledge. We want to gain more knowledge and concept. So, you will start to read in the visual first. Then, you will share your idea with your fellow, in the whole groups for discussion. So, later on or while you are discussing, I will pass in each groups so as to give you a more and a clear clarification and concept as well knowledge concerned with that aspect. While you are reading, make sure that you note any difficulties as well any problem that you will face. So don't forget on that. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. The discussion is over. So we proceed now, and from now is the time for making a general summary from what we have read and from what we have discussed together in our groups. So let us start by lymph. Let us start with lymph. Even me, I don't know. Maybe you know much concerned with that. That's why now I want to try to explain and to tell me the meaning of this lymph. Who can try? Okay, sorry, Ali, before trying, can you say this or can you read this word, please? Can you read first? Oh, good. This is the word, class. Say lymph. Okay, good. Clap one. Can you tell us the meaning of these words, please? Good, good. So the meaning of these words is the pale yellow fluid. Is the pale yellow fluid. Good. And this fluid generally is pale yellow in color and not ready at the color of our blood normally. I mean the color of red blood cell. So here we want, or we should know that why the color of this fluid is yellow and not ready in color, because these fluids, they don't have a red pigment as possessed in a red blood cell. So this fluid is free from such pigments. And why appeared pale yellow? Because they possess highly lipids. They possess highly lipids. And where that lipid come from? When we learned about digestion in the area whereby absorption taking place, do you remember that area? That area, there is a vessel that we call lacteal. Those vessels work effectively for the absorption of lipids. I mean fatty acids will be absorbed from the small intestine and will enter in these vessels and will be mixed with the lymphatic vessels, I mean, will be mixed with the lymph. That's why the lymph mostly appeared pale yellow in color. Thank you very much, and thank you a lot. So this lymph are the fluids. It should have, or it should be moved through a specific channel. So that channel is what we call lymph vessels. As we say, it is similar to the blood circulatory system. The blood flows through a specific vessels, as well lymph also will travel through the specific channel that we call the lymph vessels. Up to here, is there any question or problem? Please tell me. Before continue, tell me if any problem. Okay. If no problem, let us gain a knowledge and concepts on how the lymph is formed in our body. How the lymph is formed in our body. How the lymph is formed in our body. Good. Can you tell me what you see in the body, on the body, sorry? Ali, can you read? Stand up, please. Thank you. Good. Clap one for Ali. Thank you very much. Ali said, formation of lymph. So we must and we should know how lymph is made in our body, or our body how can make a lymph. Good. This is the diagram that shows the process that bring about the formation of lymph in our body. We have a capillary which is red in color. As well we have tissue cells. As well we have lymph vessels. As I said that the system also consists of lymph vessels through which lymph can pass through while move and distribute in each part of the body. Good. So in this explanation, we will start to explain from the capillary. I think everybody has a knowledge concern or have a knowledge concern with blood capillaries. Mostly deals with the transportation of oxygenated blood. I mean, the red blood cell, the kind of blood that can pass through this capillary. So this capillary, whereby or through which oxygenated blood pass through. The blood or the kind of blood pass through, they possess a lot of substances. Example, who can try to explain? Who can try to mention, sorry? Example of material carried in these blood vessels or in this kind of blood pass through capillary. Zena, can you try? Okay, stand up. Yes, good. Clap one. Zena, she said, example of substances carried in blood, a kind of blood that move or carried by this capillary is oxygen. Good. As well, there is a nutrient. As well, there is a nutrient on it. As well, there is hormones. Other things. And there are a lot of things within of it. So, and also, this is the very important things. This is the very important things is what we call water. This is a fluid. Blood is in a form, in a fluid form. So water must be there. Water must be there in the blood. Okay. What are the characteristics of this capillary? They are very narrow. If the capillaries are narrow, the pressure of the blood in this area or when pass in this area will be higher. So this pressure will force more substances to diffuse out of the blood due to the narrowness. I mean the pressure of this capillary will be higher. So that pressure will cause some substances that are found within the blood in this capillary will be diffused or will diffuse out. Will diffuse out to where? Will diffuse out to the space that we call intestinal space. Intestinal space. Okay. Example of material that will diffuse oxygen will diffuse out of the capillary. Nutrient, example glucose, will diffuse out of the capillary to the intestinal space. Or sometimes this region we may call what? We may call tissue space. We may call tissue space. As well, water also will diffuse out of the capillaries. So, not only that, all materials within the blood or of the blood will diffuse out of the capillaries to the intestinal space. Not. Some of them will diffuse out, while others will not allow it to diffuse out, will remain within the blood capillaries. Why? Can you tell us why? Ali, can you try? Good. Because they are larger. They are larger in size. If you look and if you know this capillary, they possess a teeny pores. That's why we say it is permeable. will allow a certain kind which are smaller in size to pass through, while those larger ones will not allow it to pass through. Example of that material that will not allow it to pass through are plasma protein. Plasma protein will remain there. As well, red blood cell will remain there. And platelets also will remain there. Why? Because they are larger in size. So, if that is the case, when such molecules or substances will be or will remain and will not diffuse out, so this will create a potential condition or potential state. I mean the demand of substances. Example, nutrients such as glucose already diffused out to the intestinal space. If that is the case, here remain only protein, red blood cell, and protein. So the concentrations of that solutes will be higher. So water that already diffused to the intestinal space will force to return or to move back to the blood. That's why here you see some water, the arrow pointed inside the capillary. So this meaning that as some substances move out the blood capillary, there are some substances will move back to the blood capillaries, because these two regions, they differ in their concentration gradient. I mean the concentration of solute as well as the concentration of solvent, they are different. So here there is a fluid. Where that fluid come from? Where? From where? From the blood. Together, from the blood. So these fluids we may call, or we may give a name, which is a very nice one. What do we call that name? Interstitial fluid. Interstitial fluid, or sometime we may call tissue fluid, and not a blood. Together, it's just filtrations taking place in the blood capillary. So here now we have two regions. We have intestinal space possessed with what? Interstitial fluid. As well, we have tissue cells. So these two regions, they are differ also in on their concentration gradient. I mean the concentration of solutes in interstitial space is higher compared to the concentration of solutes in the tissue cell. So this must what? The solutes found in interstitial space will diffuse to the tissue cell again. As well, solvent, a good example, water also are found in this space. This space will possess higher water, so that compared to the tissue cell, so water also will diffuse out from the intestinal space to the tissue cell. So now we see here how these substances move from the capillary then to the intestinal space, and now they reach in a specific area, I mean the tissue, inside the tissue. So that you should know that the fluid now are inside the tissue, and the diffusion also proceeds in that area. If that fluid will be allowed to continue to accumulate more and highly, will cause a big problem in our body. That problem we call swelling parts, or scientifically we call edema. We call what? Edema. What does the edema mean? Edema means swelling. So as the fluid gets in the tissue cell will swell up. So this is the big problem we will suffer. So in order to prevent such a problem in our body, That's why we put lymph vessels near to the tissue cell, purposely to remove those fluids that entered inside the tissue cell. So now we have a two region also. We have a region of lymph vessels, as well we have a region of tissue cell. These two regions also, they differ in their concentration gradient. So the concentration of solutes as well solvent inside the tissue cell is higher compared to the concentration of solutes and solvent inside the lymph vessel. So if that is the case, or when such situation happens, the molecules will be diffused out from the tissue cell to the lymph vessels. Example of that molecule, similar to those molecules dissolved or diffused out from the capillaries, and those diffuse in tissue cells, and as well those will diffuse to the lymph vessels. So now, if the fluid get in or diffuse inside the lymph vessels, so we change the name of that fluid. So this fluid now we give an amazing name. What we call a lymph. So now we see how lymph formed. Lymph formed from the infiltration of the blood to the near to the tissue cells, as well. We will take substances from the tissue cells to the lymph vessels. So now already we have got a lymph within a lymph vessels. So we transport it all over the body as a lymph, purposely. So the lymph vessels, here we have a lymph vessels. Lymph vessels join together, to form a lymph duct. We call a lymph duct. And the lymph duct, we have two kinds of lymph duct in our body. You should know that. We have two kinds of lymph ducts. We have a right lymph duct, which are found at the right side. As well, we have a left lymph duct. So, for right lymph duct, join together with the blood circulatory system, which we call right subclavian vein. And for those left lymph ducts will join with the left subclavian vein. Together, are we together, students? Thank you. And right subclavian vein as well left subclavian vein join together to form superior vena cava. And you should know that we have two kinds of vena cava. Superior vena cava, as well we have inferior. Superior vena cava normally located at the upper parts of the body, and inferior located at the lower parts of the body. So here we see that the lymphatic system join with the blood circulatory system. There is direct connection between these two systems. Where does lymphatic system join with the blood circulatory system? At the superior vena cava. The superior vena cava again or further will join with the main vena cava, which sends blood to the heart, which is deoxygenated blood. Here we should know that there is direct connection between lymphatic system and blood circulatory system, and even if they are two systems different, but they are big connection between them. And if the lymph, when the lymph poured in the blood circulatory system, we don't call a lymph now. So it will be blood as it transported or as it moved through the blood circulatory system. Any question? Maybe there is some area were difficult for you, in the especially formation of these fluids. If you have a problem, please tell me before leaving. If no problem, okay. Now is the time for work. We have a little work also for you. It's just some questions you will take and you will do. The first question is define the term lymph. After that, mention 3 components of the human lymphatic system. And the third one, I mean C, explain how does lymph differ from the blood. Give 3 points. As we learned much concerned with that aspect. Up to here. If you have any questions, problems, addition, you may add, and as well you may ask. Okay, if no question, no problem. So let me end up here. Let me end up here my lesson. And I have nothing to say except thank you very much. Thank you a lot for good cooperation as well good participation. Thank you very much, and we shall meet to the next lesson. Bye-bye.